I think most of the market participants and pundits are at the place where they think the Fed is nearing the end of rate hikes. Now, whether there's another 25 basis points in the May meeting, whether there's a further 25 after that, another 50 basis points, yet to be determined. I'm now moved into the camp where I would like them to pause for 3 months. And I'll tell you why I say that. I've noticed that rent in most cities outside of the coastal region has rolled over 20%, not yet reflected in the CPI data, the way that CPI is calculated. That's a mistake, should be fixed, because that's very anti-inflationary. So right now the CPI says we're at 6.1% inflation. I think the truth is we're more near 4.5%.
Kevin O'Leary, the renowned business magnate and popular Shark Tank star, expressed his views on the current inflation rate. I believe that the current inflation rate is closer to 4.5% due to the flawed calculation method used in the CPI, he shared in an interview. O'Leary also expressed concerns regarding the liquidity for loans, stating that capital is not easily accessible with a complete drying up in recent weeks. He posted a tweet. The large money center banks are not the problem. It's the thousands of regional banks that don't really have a reason to exist anymore in an all-digital age where 95% banking is online. If you live in FLO, do you really want to guarantee the deposits of a regional bank in K? He discussed the difficult position of the Federal Reserve, saying it's tough to please everyone when you're the Federal Reserve. Some believe they should continue to raise rates, while others think they should lower them. Against the backdrop of inflation rates exceeding 6%, O'Leary noted that political tensions are running high. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell icon to stay updated with our latest content.
Liquidity for loans has completely dried up in the last 2 weeks. And I'll give you an easy way to look at that. Let's say you're a company doing 50 million in sales, 100 employees. At any one time, 60 to 90 days of your sales are tied up in receivables with big box retailers or whoever else you're selling to. And you used to be able to factor that, in other words, turn it into cash for about 7 to 9%. Today, those rates have gone from 17 to 29%. All in a matter of about 20 days as a result of what's occurred with the Silicon Valley Bank meltdown and the concerns regional banks now have about liquidity measurement. So that is in itself doing the Fed's work, and I would very much like the Fed to look at that data from senior loan officers as soon as they get it, because there's a big problem brewing here.
When you say big problem brewing, what is the main danger you seeing as the outcome?
You can't get any capital. You can't raise money anymore from a regional bank because regardless of whether the Fed guarantees the loan or not, the loan officer is saying, we know it's going to get tighter. We know regulation's coming. We're going to wait and see what occurs in addition to rate hikes, which make it even harder to be profitable. I think we have a real soul searching to do in America about how many of these regional banks are going to survive and how many people want to support them in perpetuity, regardless if they're ever profitable again. And so this transition will reflect itself in loans to small and mid-cap businesses, which represents 70%. That's 70% of the economy. And I think the Fed's work is done. I think they're going to have a lot of anti-inflation pressure by the fact that they're going to slow business down because they can't borrow money.
For numerous decades, the U.S. dollar has been the leading currency for global trade and capital flows. Nonetheless, numerous countries are now seeking alternative currencies to reduce their reliance on the United States. Kevin said in his tweet, if we manage to get a U.S. stable coin policy in place, it would make the USD the default payment system of the earth. In a recent note, Wells Fargo analysts pointed out that the robust U.S. dollar has been a major obstacle for international earnings and stock performance, especially for U.S. investors. Despite the era of the dollarization, Kevin maintains that the U.S. dollar remains the default currency that cannot be easily replaced.
You know, the only thing that matters for the U.S. is what is the default currency of the world, and secondly, who brokers the power. So those are the two issues that are at stake. Now, obviously, the world for a very long time has used the U.S. dollar as its default currency because it basically is the price of all commodities, whether it's gold or oil, right on down precious metals. And so I don't see that changing because nobody's going to take the Chinese yuan instead, no sovereign, not because the Chinese people are bad people, it's just that nobody trusts the Chinese government. So that idea is going to stall. Would I exchange my U.S. dollars for Macron euros? Not a chance in hell would I do that. Maybe I'd consider the Swiss franc, and I do hold a position in Swiss francs, but that's a well-managed country. You can't tell me France is a well-managed country. I think really the only country that holds up the euro, and everybody talks about this in whispers, but I'll just blurt it out, is Germany. Without Germany, there is no euro. So it's interesting to hear what he has to say, and I respect him as a politician, but it's irrelevant to me as an investor. These ideas are bankrupt. There's no way on earth anything's going to happen to the U.S. dollar. Now, regarding leadership in policy on defense, that's a different topic.
Following the economic sanctions imposed by the United States and other Western countries in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Moscow and the Chinese government have been collaborating to diminish their reliance on the U.S. dollar and establish greater cooperation between their respective financial systems. Vedomosti, a Russian news agency, reported that Russia and Iran are currently negotiating the launch of a new cryptocurrency supported by gold. This new digital currency has the potential to facilitate their bilateral trade agreements. Kevin expressed his views on the future of cryptocurrency, stating, "I have no intention of engaging in disputes or lawsuits with regulators. This approach is not the way forward for the crypto industry."
I've been listening to the death of the U.S. dollar since 1966. Every 2 years, somebody comes along and says, this is the death of the U.S. dollar. You only have to ask yourself one question. If you're a sovereign wealth fund, I don't care what country, Middle East country, Eastern, Western Europe, where is the majority of your wealth right now? It's sitting in the S&P 500, denominated in the U.S. dollar. Now, until that changes, there's no chance of another currency becoming the default currency of the world. People wanted to make it Bitcoin. That's interesting, but that's a speculation. That's not a currency. And so maybe a digitized version of the dollar, although that's going to be stalled out by privacy concerns, I think. Maybe a private version of that like USDC. But the basic unit of conversion of wealth and storage of wealth remains the US dollar. Ask any high net worth individual anywhere on earth where they want to put all of their money. Nobody tells you the yuan. Nobody says the euro. Nobody says the British pound. Nobody says Brazilian currency, Venezuelan currency. It's all the US dollar. I tell everybody that has a concern with this, get over it. Where do you put your money? What country says it's dumping their US dollar? Cuba, Venezuela, Brazil? Who cares? It's irrelevant. No one's dumping their US dollar that is a major trading platform, and everybody wants to trade commodities and goods and services in US dollars. That's why I always call this out. You know, who's saying this? Find me a sovereign
China,
wealth
Russia?
fund. Yeah, oh, great. Russia? Yeah, let me invest there. What a great idea. I mean, that's the whole point. That place is turning itself into an economic wasteland. What else can it say? They're not going to let them have any U.S. dollars until he cleans up his act.
In terms of the United States, Kevin emphasizes that the most crucial factors are which currency serves as the world's default and who has the power to broker deals. Since nobody trusts the Chinese government, nobody will replace the U.S. dollar with the Chinese yuan, he concludes. Thank you for joining our conversation today. We value your feedback, so please leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you found this content informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for the latest news and videos.